The fact that people make these comments and mean them has to be the funniest thing in this fandom. Somebody said this episode just confirms that Jared and Belly do not belong together. They bring out the worst in each other. And Conrad and Belly don't. Conrad is literally a stalker. Stalker, a person who harasses or persecutes someone with unwanted and obsessive attention. Yeah, so Conrad's advances aren't unwanted by Belly. He's not obsessive, he's in love. So I guess he's not literally a stalker. And narratively, I don't believe that Jenny Han is trying to tell us that Conrad Fisher is a stalker. Quite the opposite, actually. I think she's trying to tell us that Belly's biggest fear is that Conrad's going to give his love and then take it away like he has in the past. And Conrad is sending 10 toes down on that love confession. He has not taken it back once. He's doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on that love. He's making it painfully obvious that I'm not going to do that again. He's letting her know, just so we're clear, I think about you all the time. Pretty much all that I ever think about. Reassuring Belly that it will never happen again. You can trust me. I love you. I'm never gonna not love you. So this final step of going to Paris is a grand gesture. I've shown you with words, now let me show you with action. And if we're being honest, Belly's whole life was wishing that Conrad was stalking her. He's down bad for them, man. Always has been, always will be. But these comments do make me laugh. I love this comment, you know why? Because I think we all won, you know? Cam, Jared, Benito, Conrad, we all won. And you know why I agree with this comment? Because yes, Jeremiah, Cam, Benito, they escaped the Belly who's been in denial of her love for Conrad her whole life. The Belly who was hurt by Conrad, even though he was grieving his mother, and just ran into all these other things, except for Cam. But finally, she accepted that I do love Conrad. And Conrad has finally been so upfront and honest with her about how much he loves her that they're finally able to reunite. So yes, I agree with you. They all got to escape the girl that never really loved them. But Conrad got to have her. I'm so happy we're on the same page. I love this for us. Did y'all peep how it only ever takes a day for Belly to be like, yeah, I'm in love with Conrad. Like, she's in a relationship with Jeremiah for 3.5 years. They run into each other at Christmas in Cousins. And it's just like, a part of me will always love him. Crossword puzzle, still loves him. Everything was fine until Christmas. Her wedding with Jeremiah gets blown up because she's in love with Conrad. From one day at Christmas where they barely interacted or talked. Almost a year after the wedding is called off, Conrad shows up in Paris. What does it take? A day. She's in love with him. He asked her if she moved on. Her face said it all. She didn't have to say anything. Her face told us as the viewers, no, I haven't moved on. And then she kissed him after. Moral of the story is, it only takes a day. And everyone's getting mad at her because she fake rejected him. But 20 minutes later, she's like, no, wait, I love him. I'll always love him. After not seeing him for a year and spending one day with him. It only ever takes a day. I can't wait for this movie. We're definitely getting the wedding. Team Conrad is up! Guys, I didn't say there weren't any older Team Jeremiah fans. Of course there are. There's always exceptions to the rule. That being said, let's address this comment. As a 42-year-old woman, Jared is the better brother and better choice for Belly. Conrad is going to make Belly sad a lot. That's what he does. Well, the better brother is just a subjective feeling that you have because you obviously prefer him more. But you cannot objectively say that Jeremiah is a better brother than Conrad. I don't even think either one of them would say that about each other. I think they both know they made mistakes and they both know they're not terrible people. On the other hand, when it comes to the better person for Belly, you are wrong. I think Jeremiah would even disagree with you. Did he love Belly? Yes. Did Belly love him? Yes. Was Belly in love with Conrad while being with Jeremiah? Yes. Was Belly in love with Jeremiah while being with Conrad? No. I don't know about you, but I don't think it's good for Belly to be with someone when she's in love with someone else. That's just me. A better argument, if you really thought Conrad and Belly just weren't compatible or good for each other, would be, I think she should be with someone else. But that's not the story that's being told here. It is between the two brothers. And between the two brothers, it is obvious that Conrad is a better option for Belly. Not the better person necessarily, or even the kind of person that you would want to date personally. But for Belly, because that's what we're talking about, Conrad is a better option for her. I think Jenny's made that pretty clear. I don't know why Team Jeremiah just refuses to acknowledge this truth, but it is the truth. Also, why are we acting like Jeremiah didn't make Belly sad on multiple occasions? Things aren't always going to be sunshine and rainbows regardless of who you end up with. And like Laurel told Belly in season 1, I'm paraphrasing, but she was saying like if it's the right person, it doesn't matter if it gets too hot or too cold, you want to be with that person no matter what. That is Conrad for Belly. And vice versa. Will they probably make each other sad at some point within their relationship? Yes, they're human, but they'll work it out.
I just realized something that broke my heart and made me want to jump off of a very tall something. So I'm going to ruin your day. In the very first episode of season 3, Conrad's therapist says, tell me about the best possible version of this day. Conrad says he sees the entering Cousins Beach sign and it feels like home. And the very last scene of the series is Belly and Conrad returning to Cousins Beach, passing the entering Cousins Beach sign, and it feels like home because he's with Belly again. Why? What do you mean you don't know why Belly and Conrad love each other? Have we been watching with blindfolds the entire series? Did we not see all the flashbacks of Conrad being sweet and giving Belly attention, especially when she always felt like she was the youngest and the only girl and was always left out, but Conrad always included her and always made sure that she felt validated and seen? Did we miss the time that he explained the concept of affinity to her, not because she was young and didn't know what it was, and he did, because he genuinely wanted to share something that he learned with her, and she really appreciated that? Or how about when he was showing her how to throw a football, or when she asked Steven to come help her learn how to dance, and Conrad stepped up and was the one who showed her? This is kind of how all crushes at that age starts. It's with somebody who is nice to you, somebody who shares with you, someone who looks at you and sees you as not just somebody who's a girl with cooties. We see Belly and Conrad both appreciate the things in each other that they are both kind of insecure about. Conrad is kind of a geek. He always has been. But Belly finds that part of him to be so sweet and endearing. She's always so interested in the things that he has to say, whether it's explaining infinity, talking about his stamp collection, or explaining the human body. One of Belly's insecurities is that she never feels like she's enough, whether that's physically or just her as a person. She's kind of always doubting herself, and Conrad always believes in Belly. In this scene, or, at some point when they're on this rooftop, she says, yeah, how did you know that I could do this, that I could come to Paris and I could make my own life here? And he said, because you're scrappy. Paris never stood a chance. He always found in Belly the things that she didn't always know she had in her. And Jenny has showed us that they work really well together as a team and they complement each other. In the volleyball scene in season 1, Conrad knows that the volleyball game is really important to Belly, so he steps up and he is serious about it, trying to win with her. And you see them just totally in sync throughout the entire volleyball game. They don't have to learn a handshake, they just already know one. And then again in season 3, when he steps in to help her with wedding errands and wedding planning, she's feeling defeated that she can't afford this wedding, and she's trying to come up with ways that they can still have a beautiful wedding. And he's the one who's coming to her and problem solving, trying to help her stay positive about something that he doesn't even want her to do. And with Conrad's flaws in season 1 and season 2, where he's not necessarily being super expressive to Belly about how he feels, he's kind of hot and cold in season 1. In the season 2 flashbacks that we see, he's quite romantic and he's really going out of his way to make sure Belly knows that he wants to spend time with her, something that he didn't do in season 1. And we see him make this romantic gesture of coming all the way to her house, seeing her on almost Halloween, bringing candy, and telling her that he really wants to spend time with her, even if they're not technically together at this point. And whether or not you agree with Conrad writing Belly's letters or showing up unannounced in Paris, it is quite a romantic gesture that many of us think about someone doing for us. And the fact that he asked her to dance because some guy on a bench had a radio, like, come on, that is so romantic. And what girl in that moment wouldn't be kind of swept off her feet? And I've seen people say that they don't seem to really have fun and enjoy things. Conrad's so serious all the time, but I disagree. We've just unfortunately seen Conrad dealing with a lot in season 1 and season 2. And then, now in season 3, it took all the way until the finale to get them to be together and happy. But we did see them enjoying each other's company during the snow on the beach scene, where they're really just two kids running around in the snow on the beach, having fun, dancing around, falling down. And again, in season 2, when they're at the boardwalk scene, Conrad is able to just be a kid again. He tells Steven it felt good to just have fun and be a kid. Something that he really was struggling with in both season 1 and season 2, when he was trying to be kind of a caretaker to his mom, and also just there's a lot of adult stuff being put on him in season 2 with the house being up for sale. And so he was able to really let loose, and him and Belly had a lot of fun during the shoot your shot scene. And she even makes a comment when that she says something like, it was hard not to love him when he was like this. And I think the most important part for me, at least, to know that Belle and Conrad were really meant to be was how they interacted on Christmas 2.0. This was the day that both of them remembered that they were in love with each other, and all they did was sit in the same room doing independent tasks. There was a level of safety and comfortability by just existing in the same house with each other and doing different things. That is what a long-term stable relationship is like. And sometimes being in love with somebody is something that you can't explain. It's just a feeling between two people. And Belly says that She never felt more alive with Conrad. He made her feel everything: anger, sadness, and joy. There's a level of physical chemistry and emotional chemistry between the two of them that cannot be matched by anybody else. And there is something to be said for that quiet chemistry between two people. When you just kiss somebody and you just know it feels differently. You don't have to have everything in common. You don't even have to be completely compatible. But if you have that element of it, it's pretty special. So while I can understand that first love tropes aren't for everyone, and they're not necessarily a realistic trope, a lot of us don't end up with our first love or a crush we had when we were 10, 11 years old, I do think the love between Belly and Conrad is something we all strive for. To be known, to be seen, is to be loved. And to me, that is the thesis of their love story.
Okay, so obviously Team Jeremiah has been trying to cope ever since taking that big L 2 weeks ago, you know. And I've seen this particular scene being brought up several times in the last week, talking about how Conrad just dismisses Jeremiah's feelings. And here's the thing about that. I don't care. First of all, to his knowledge, he is correct. In season 1, when did we ever see Jeremiah take anyone or anything seriously? Jeremiah was only serious about getting picked, winning. And no, what Jeremiah and Belly had was not anything close to what Belly and Conrad have. Jeremiah eventually says that himself. And another reason why I do not give a single flying fuck about Jeremiah's feelings is because he disregarded both of their feelings first. He knew that Belly has always loved Conrad. That was common fucking knowledge to everyone. And he knew Conrad had feelings for Belly. So if you know that these two like each other, if you know your best friend has feelings for your brother and your brother reciprocates those feelings, why would you want to come in between that? And yes, Conrad had pushed her away in episode 5 of season 1. That still doesn't change their feelings. Especially since Jeremiah was like trying everything in episode 5 to sabotage them and keep Conrad away from her. Jeremiah may have had feelings for Belly since the beginning of the summer, though I think it leans more towards attraction than actual feelings. But you know, he didn't act on that when she was with Cam. He only acted on it once he saw that Conrad had feelings for her. He literally wanted to hurt his brother. And he pursued Belly at a really vulnerable moment for her and lied to her while doing it, saying that he had been waiting for her all the time that she had been waiting for Conrad. Shut the fuck up. No, you have not. And Belly never even saw him that way. Never saw Jeremiah as an option. Didn't think of him like that until he made himself an option. And like I said, it was at a really vulnerable moment for her where she just wanted to be wanted. So that thing Jeremiah and Belly had in the first season was the definition of unserious. The only reason I might not like what Conrad says here is because of the way it may have made Belly feel. We don't have any indication that this made her feel weird, but I could like see a world in which Belly took this to maybe mean like, oh, someone like Jeremiah could never be serious about a girl like Belly or something like that. I don't think that that's what Conrad meant at all, but this statement could have made Belly feel a certain way. But other than that, literally nothing is wrong with what he says here, in my opinion, because he's fucking right. And the more I see Jeremiah fans getting angry over how the show ended, the more I laugh. And the more I'm just at a point where I want to be like, I don't fucking care about Jeremiah's feelings. I can admit Conrad is flawed, and I can admit when he has done things to hurt Belly. I don't think he ever wanted to intentionally hurt Belly, but he has done things to hurt Belly. And I don't like those instances, but I feel like he has grown and they both got to a place where they're ready to be together. But in terms of Conrad's actions hurting Jeremiah, I do not give a fuck. From everything I've seen in the entire show, Jeremiah made his entire personality about resenting Conrad. Jeremiah intentionally hurt both of them multiple times. And I feel like nothing Conrad has done will ever be as bad as the shit Jeremiah has done. And yes, I know Conrad confessed his feelings to Belly in 48 hours before wedding. Yeah, mistake. I don't like how it hurt Belly. I don't care how it hurt Jeremiah. And I still think Jeremiah has done worse things than that. Jeremiah Fisher is just like the definition of inconsiderate and selfish. I said what I fucking said.
I love how Belly says that prom feels like it was a million years ago while her and Conrad are actively redoing it. Belly said that she had the perfect idea of prom in her head where they would dance for hours and then go back to the hotel and make love. And this essentially happens in the episode anyways. So for prom, you have the dress, the corsage, the dancing, and the hotel. And in this episode, we have Belly in her dress. Instead of a corsage, we have this moment where Conrad helps her put on her bracelet. And of course, we have them dancing under the moon and then going back to Belly's apartment. I think it was so important for them to have a redo of prom because this is one of the biggest defining moments in their relationship where everything went south. And while Belly had really high expectations of the day, Conrad held himself to really high standards to give Belly the perfect day. Despite his imminent grief about Susanna passing away, he just ultimately couldn't be the boyfriend that he thought that Belly deserved. And I love that this day in Paris was not only a do-over for everything that went wrong for them both at prom, but I feel like it actually exceeded Belly's expectations for her perfect prom movie that she mentioned. Both of them are in such different places in their lives and they were really able to redeem themselves and have such a perfect day together. I'm really glad they got some closure from this conversation that they had and now they can just replace those bad memories about prom with this perfect night in Paris.